Welcome to People Are Everything, the show where I ask my guests, who are the 5 people that have shaped the person you are today? And today we are kicking off season 5, can you believe? Season 5, with Martin Alan Morales. And, well, what can I tell you about Martin? I met him, and you'll come to hear all about this. I think I was, in my 30s. And naively thought that I could stroll into Disney's head office in London and pitch them my idea. And I met Martin. He listened. He was so polite, so kind. And whether he thought it was a good idea or not, we will never know because he was such a pro. And it probably wasn't, knowing me, but I just get quite excited about things. But the fact that he took the meeting, the fact that he listened, the fact that he was professional and courteous, says everything about him. And I think I was in awe of him at the time, and I think I followed him ever since. And what a career this man has. So you'll come to hear in a minute. Worked for Disney, worked for Apple. He is a music man. I think he worked for EMI for a while. He set up his own chain of restaurants. He's big into social enterprise. And he now has a business called the Institute of Imagination, which I don't know, I want to join. Somehow, I want to be a student of the Institute of Imagination. I think everyone should join, whatever it might be, or in what capacity, I should say. So listen, I've been following his career all this time. He very graciously offered to be on my show. He is absolutely the most fitting person I could think of to kick off season 5. And I think you're going to love this conversation. So without further ado, here is me talking to Martin Alan Morales. Hello, Martin. Welcome to People Are Everything, first of all. How are you today?
Well, I'm feeling fantastic. It's sunny, so when the sun's out, I'm very happy.
I was about to say the guns are out, but that's like, no. Well, I think, are we too old for guns, Martin? Do you have guns?
No, I'm a pacifist, so I beg a no.
I meant biceps.
Oh, these? Oh yeah, well I do my best, but my son has as he's now a stronger, bigger lad than I am.
Oh, it's a terrible day, isn't it, when that happens? It's wonderful. You look at my son's 6'2", and I go, oh, look at him, 6'2", maybe 3, but 6'3". I'm looking up at him and I'm going, oh, it's so amazing when I think about him being so small. And then he looks down at you and you go, I've got no control over this boy anymore. He's 6'3" and 22 years old. He's leaving home this weekend. Not that I want to talk about it. Anyway. So you have kids. So how many kids do you have?
I have 2. I have an 18-year-old amazing daughter called Otilia. We call her Tilly. And I've got a son that's almost 20, and he's called Felix. Yeah, beautiful children. So blessed, so lucky.
Are they at uni or are they living at home with you?
No. Tilly's just finishing her A-levels. And Felix has started his own business called SoMe, SEWME, SoMe platform. And it's a marketplace for new emerging designers, fashion designers, and for one-off pieces that they make. So it's a really unique platform. And he does brand partnerships and he does upcycling through that. He's very creative, does amazing content. Yeah, he's an amazing lad.
I'm going to get him to talk to my son. My son is the same. He works for a company called Wyden and Kennedy. I don't know if you know them. They do,
Yes.
they do the big sort of creative agency. But he's got 1,000 ideas and he's so creative, like yours, and has that entrepreneurial spirit, which I don't have. I have a creative spirit, but you have both. And it's like, you are fascinating to me, Martin. I've been so looking forward to this conversation because when I look at your life and your output and all the things that you've taken your creative energy and achieved, first of all, I don't think anyone could believe one person has done all of this in one adult career. But also the diversity of it, the different things you've done. There's so many parallels, and yet I'm just slightly underachieving on each of them. So it's like, but I'm okay with that. And when I say slightly, I was being sarcastic, massively underachieving on all of them. Because your story, And maybe I should sort of share with everybody how we met, 'cause that's typically what I do on this podcast. I like to say how we met, and I've kind of going to set it up a little bit on the intro that I'll record later. But it's like when I look at you, or we met initially when you were at Disney, and I came along with my crazy ass idea, probably, um, and I think at that time I was leading a big music school, and I had this idea of junior school, a junior set of academies for kids.
Great idea.
And it was, thank you, and it was a band format, and aimed at 7 years and above. And I remember coming to your offices, and we came to Disney, and I was like, "Whoa, look at that! I'm in Disney HQ, wow!" And I'd put loads of work into this deck, like loads, because this was back in the day when you didn't have there wasn't a lot of there was no AI for a start, and you had to build your own deck yourself. And I put tons of work into it, and you were amazing. You listened, you were interested, you were courteous, you were professional. You pointed out a few areas for improvement. And I mean, ultimately, we didn't work together for other reasons, but it was like I was just so enamored with you day one. So just wanted to say that while we're here. But I was just so enamored with your, I suppose, the depth and earnestness and sincerity of you, as well as your expertise. And that doesn't happen often, Martin. I'll be honest with you. I don't meet a lot of people in my day to day that I think I'm going to track this guy's career. But I did. I followed you from then. And again, I don't think even LinkedIn was around back then. I think I may have noticed that you were on LinkedIn later. And then I'm like, right, what's he doing next? Oh my goodness, he's done this, he's done that, he's done that. And if I were to try and take a summary before I hand over to you and say, look, tell your side, the bits that stood out for me, there was your career in terms of the big brands that you worked with. And that's not easy. To work for Apple, to work for Disney, these are big companies, high expectations on their people, and I imagine very hard work to be successful within. Then you've got your music background, and I can't wait to talk about that. And I want to talk about your DJing, because that, again, I'm just like, how did you do all that? And then there was how you pivot yourself. And I'm not going to list any more now, so I'm going to hand over to you. But this idea of reinvention and pivoting and trying all these new creative things is what struck me when I been following your career. So enough from me. Why don't you share for everybody here how you would describe yourself and your career, and what just give us a flavour for who you are.
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on the podcast. And this is a really great podcast to be on, because of the this conversation that happens that's so natural, but also paying homage to other people that you want me to talk about. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about myself and what I'm doing, and maybe what I've done to entertain you or others. And thank you for coming to my office at the time at Disney. What I loved from you was your passion, your a focus on education, and a focus on music. And I think we have shared values, and so we align on those three things, if not many more. So the respect and admiration is mutual. So thank you. As for me, today I'm the chief executive of an amazing charity, a children's education charity that's called the Institute of Imagination. And maybe we'll talk about it a bit more, but just the quick lowdown is we help children learn in a world where education is not fit for everyone, and the system is not being created in education for many children to learn. It's created for children that are already super smart, or can learn from memory, or are really good at exams, and there's lots of pressure, and they can manage all that pressure. Boy, we all know someone, maybe it's our own children, or maybe it's a nephew or a niece, or other people's children that are suffering right now because they don't fit into that system. We try to help those children that don't fit into that system, and we particularly focus on children living in disadvantaged communities, in poverty, come from refugee communities, or a whole host of other types of children that from different backgrounds. So passionate about that, always have been, because I myself was one of those children. And in fact, just today, I'm waiting for a call from someone who will hopefully be helping my child, one of my children.
Okay.
So it's deeply personal. I was a refugee and I came to this country aged 11, fleeing violence of Peru. In Peru, we had the Shining Path guerrillas and we had the military, and they were both at each other, you know,
Mhm.
assassinating people left, right, and center in a very brutal way. And I lived through that through the 80s. And so we came here fleeing violence, and we arrived in a town in the Midlands where Margaret Thatcher had closed all the mines. It was a coal mining town, so heavy unemployment. So when they saw me, a brown boy from Peru who could speak, broken English, I had a lot of challenges with
Mm.
racism. So
Mm.
those foundations of leaving my country, coming as a refugee, coming, by the way, without my mother because my parents divorced as well, were extremely challenging. So those things were a real beautiful formation for me. And I heard someone say this the other day, so I want to use it. But I've turned, in a way, pain into power. I've
Yeah.
used that to drive me through the different aspects of my work. And that has always, the line through that has always been wanting to help others, wanting to make people happy, and wanting to change communities and support communities. Sometimes in other countries, many of the time in this country, because there's a lot of work to do here. And that's taken me through the different passions that I've had. My background, as you heard, is coming from an area of real challenge in Peru. And when you grow up in challenge, you grow up for many years with a siege mentality.
Yeah.
A siege mentality means you've got to have your wits about yourself. You grow up quickly when you're younger,
Mhm.
and you learn quickly and learn in different ways, even though the education system doesn't provide that for you. So my senses have always been very heightened, shall we say. When you're under pressure, under a regime that is violent, you're looking out for yourself. You're using everything you've got to survive. It's a
Mhm.
survival instinct. So my hearing, my taste, my eyes, sound, touch, all these things have been really important. So my career has taken me through working for charities, uh, at small or big scale, working for social enterprises, creating them like I did before, working for big companies in the music industry and technology, and doing wonderful things like having an art gallery and creating that, as well as writing books and working in the food system, having restaurants. So that's a mishmash of everything I've done, but very quickly started at uni in Leeds, promoting world music, and artists from Brazil, Cuba, India, becoming a DJ in world music, being a good marketeer, and then being acknowledged for that, working in record companies that worked in world music, Cuban artists at the time of the Buena Vista Social Club, and launching artists in the UK from Cuba, from Latin America, then working for a compilations company, and just being crazy about compilations. Behind me, you probably can't see it, but I've got my record collection. I'm still a record collector, and I'm crazy about all kinds of music, from opera to drum and bass to Ali Farka Touré, in West Africa. So yeah, music's really important to me. Music is healing, and I
Mm.
find a real connection with myself and the world and many people through music. It's a beautiful, powerful expression of connection that I love, and helps me connect with the world. So so music was really important. So I worked for a compilations company. Then I worked for EMI, and because of my marketing skills, I guess, and because of marketing and digital marketing skills, and we were one of the first in any sector, the music industry, to work in the digital space, because the music industry was the first to be threatened by
Mhm. I
by
remember
digital.
Napster and all that those days. Yeah.
Napster and Pirate Bay, and
Yeah, yeah.
I was like to my bosses, we should join them, or
Mm.
we should invest in them, or
Yeah.
partner, or merge, or take over. But so that was my frustration. I thought I knew this world was coming, and I thought it was fantastic where everyone could have access to music. And by the way, I'm a vinyl collector. So but I just thought this was really exciting as well. You
Hmm.
could then democratize music and the access to music. And so that led me to, after EMI and after signing a girl called Katie Tunstall and developing her career, and working with a girl called Joss Stone and launching her, and working on other world music artists within EMI. And that led me to being sort of found by Apple, who were launching something called iTunes,
Hmm.
which had never been launched before, and they needed someone to join the team of 5 that were going to launch it in Europe. So I became head of iTunes Pan EU, head of iTunes Europe, for those first 3.5 years, and we launched that in 16 countries or something like that. And that was quite a ride, right? Because it just exploded. And it taught me a lot about working for a large company, albeit we were a startup. And there's some interesting stories about how we launched iTunes launched iTunes with no IT support within Apple. Um, and then I worked I was headhunted by Disney to go and run their music business in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. That I was there for 5 years, launching different artists like Miley Cyrus and Jonas Brothers on different soundtracks, uh, launching High School Musical, the stage shows, artists in different countries that represented Disney as well. And then 2010 came along after the big sort of economic crisis, and I was given a golden ticket to leave because they were cutting, and I was on the board of Disney, and they said, "Look, um, you know, you've got to cut your team." And then suddenly I was asked to have that option, so I took it, and with that, I thought, right, okay, I can pivot now and go into something completely different if I really want to. Let's try something out, and that's when I started to create the idea of having a sort of culture, social enterprise business built around Peru, where I'd come from, with a central part of it being food and restaurants. And so I became an entrepreneur and a restaurateur and a chef, and wrote books, and we had 6 restaurants, and it was wildly successful for a time. And that was Ceviche and Andina. And then in 2019, I pivoted again into what I'm doing now, which is mostly Institute of Imagination, but also working with other charities and social enterprises on their boards and advising them. But my day-to-day passion and commitment is with the Institute of Imagination today.
Oh, well, listen, thanks for validating my earlier statement about how could one human being do all these things. So you've actually just proven it. But also you've skipped a couple of bits, by the way. So I was listening, I'm thinking, yeah, he's missed a couple of bits. First of all, another thing, because you're right, we do have a lot in common. Okay, my achievements are not on your scale, but they're similar. But the thing that struck me when I was researching you as well, we're both kind of bootstrap people. I mean, I had a difficult childhood. I understand totally what you mean about being alert. When I wasn't in a war zone, but I was in a very difficult home life situation, which had a lot of things I had to be quite alert about. So you develop. I know exactly what I mean. You're heightened always. You're still scanning. That's why we get so tired at the end of the day, Martin. I don't know if you experience this, but because we're constantly evaluating everything, and like you say, sensing the world in such an intense way, it can be quite tiring. I'm a real napper off when I sit down on the sofa.
Yes.
If it's before 10 o'clock, I'm off. But it is to do with this idea of scanning, and then so we both kind of know what it is to do that. The bit you haven't mentioned is that you've kind of how you started. It was a very sort of manual work. I worked I started my career on market stalls, just selling fruit and veg, for example, and stuff like that. And I think you set a similar start, didn't you? With work. Well, I don't know, it was just working your way up from sort of menial
Yeah.
type
Yeah, of
jobs.
course. Well, we weren't when I first came to this country. Uh, we weren't wealthy people, and so yeah, I worked at the co-op filling up the self-serve bins. I worked cleaning floors, in as an office cleaner.
Mm.
in my part time. I worked in a business called Schlegel's in Colville that used to make the rubber sealants around the car doors. I used to manage these massive machines that stank of rubber and go tsh, 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 and, and and I'd be there for hours and hours doing the same thing and doing what they call piecework. So the more
Mm.
you do, the more you get paid. And that's when you sort of see a factory at work, and that's when you see industrialization. You think, wow, these people are incredible. We've got to respect them.
Mm.
But it's not something I want to do for 20 years or 30 years. And there are people that are doing that are driving this country forward as well. So, but that's also, was a catalyst for me to say,
It's not what I
gosh,
got.
this is
Yeah.
not what I want to do. And I've done a number of jobs. I started a translation business when I was living in Barcelona because I couldn't get a job there because I didn't have a right to work. So I just thought I'd make my own business. And I was 19, I think, or 18. And
But
so yeah,
yeah.
I've been a waiter, a
Yeah.
barman, a commie chef, and yeah, there's been I worked in a clothes shop when I was 14.
And I brought this up not because I think we are a minority, and and I keep comparing myself to you. I don't mean to do that in a a sort of grifting sort of way. It's more just curiosity from my side, which is I do understand that pathway as well, and I've worked for some big corporations, and I totally see it as that. What did you say? Pain to power. Totally see it as a superpower. When you start life like that, when you learn all these skills through actual lived experience, when you see the other side of the coin, when you experience multiple different cultures and economic structures and all the things that you've seen, and you understand what it is to be frightened, you understand what it is to be under threat, and yet all of this you turned into very, very positive output. And I'd like to consider myself someone like that too. I like to consider myself as someone who's always on the lookout for the next creative idea that they can do to make things a bit better. So when you've done that beautiful summary, so I don't want to summarize your summary, but I just wanted to draw that point out, which is you could so easily have not channeled the things that happened to you as a child into so much creativity, so much output, so much investment in other children and other people's betterment. And also the fact that you did it at such a high level of scale with working in such these major companies. And there's one other bit of information I want to just throw out there. And this is where you and I do diverge, diverge. One of those words. Um, I've never been brave like you. I've done things and I've taken brave steps. But when I read about ceviche, you bet everything on that. You put it all in. You were like, and you had no background in it. It wasn't like, you've been a 20-year studied chef somewhere. You just said, I love my country. I want people to learn more about it. Best way to discover a culture is through food. Let's build this chain of restaurants. Let's build this celebration of Peruvian culture. And you threw everything at it. And I remember reading it when you first launched it, and I was just so impressed by that you just said, I'm going for it. There's no halfway house at all. And I just wanted to point that out.
Well, thank you. And I would just say that, you know, we have we have been we have guided ourselves through a path that is positive.
Mm.
Many children don't.
Yeah.
Many children fall. And some people think that's their fault and
Mm.
that's their choice and they are terrible for doing that and they should suffer for it.
No.
I think that's a disgusting way to think. I think it's a
Yeah.
terrible way to think. That's a cruel way to think. And I don't think the world is like that. Some of us have the capabilities because of whatever. In my case, I had two great aunts who were stunning, who were just unconditionally loving me, even when I moved to this country from Peru and they were back in Peru. And they kept me going. And
Well,
I had other people through my journey. I had um, Mr. Hammond at secondary school. I had Rob Ricks and Roberto Rodriguez at university, and the late Di Burton. I've had mentors, coaches, therapists, and all kinds of support through my life. And I've just come back from an ecstatic dance weekender where I've met 3 new amazing facilitators, um, Pete, Gaia, and Renee, that were just awesome.
Yeah.
And it was just, so we have been blessed to find communities, even though I must say my childhood was extremely lonely,
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate.
extremely lonely. And it wasn't until I found the amazing wife that I have now, Lucy, and I had my first child out of the 2 to think, I'm never going to be lonely again.
Yeah.
So those things are really important to bear in mind. But
Oh,
back to the bravery.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I am brave. Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
own that, because you have to be brave to come to this country age 11 and go,
Mm.
yeah, I'm not going to turn to crime, or I'm not going to break a few windows or really be upset. And, you have to be brave to fight that inner demon that might be stuck in you. You have to be brave. In a way, there must be a love for myself
Mm.
and a foundation of values that I was blessed to have
Yeah.
by those great aunts, by my father and my mother.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's the bravery of going, okay, well, you only live once. So firstly, how do I get out of Colville to show the world that I can do something really interesting? And how could I change my community as a youth leader? I forgot to say that. That was really important as part
Yeah.
of my
Yeah.
journey. I was a youth leader in Colville, in that same town, that treated me despicably. But I
Mm.
cared about those people, and I cared about how we can change society in that community and fight racism just there. Um, but I also, but I had that, so I had that bravery to say, okay, I'm going to, my way is going to be through university. I'm going to learn some skills. And then my way is going to be through changing sectors, because I'm curious and I want to
Mm.
challenge myself
Mm.
and I want to challenge the sector. And I've always picked sectors where I've thought this needs disrupting, this needs transforming, this is an important sector for the world, for society, for communities. And what can I offer? And how can I transfer my skills? So I'm brave. And some people might say, and you kind of positioned it as, maybe I'm a high risk taker, when
Oh
you
no, I
mentioned
don't see it that way.
my restaurants,
Yeah.
but these are very measured risks. My wife calls me the king of due diligence. And that's also probably that sort of scanning thing what you say, but that also includes having a lot of due diligence, a lot of research, a lot of data analysis, a lot of kind of trial and error testing before you press the button. And that's what I did when I launched that first restaurant in Soho in London.
Yeah. Well, let me clarify that then. When I know what you mean when people say brave. If they say it with the wrong tone, it means you mean foolish. I didn't mean that. I
No, no.
absolutely meant brave in the real sense of backing yourself and saying, I'm going to make a success of this and I'm just going to go for it. That's where I was coming from. But this is entirely what this podcast is about, Martin. This is it. People ask me, why did you start this thing? For everything you just said, the amount of people that helped me from there to here become this person. And I'm not saying I'm anybody special, but it's like all of us can look back and say, it was them, it was them, it was them, it was them. And without them, I couldn't be here being this person, right? So no matter what your life achievements now, and I know I keep sort of maybe overstating that now with you, but it's like, that is the point of this podcast. And actually why I'm excited to go through your 5 is, I consider you a person of substance. I consider you a person of great achievement, but I also, it's so clear to me you're a man of great principle. So I'm very interested to know who your 5 are. You've listed a few already, which is technically cheating, but I'm sure some of them are going to come back in the official 5. But you're absolutely right. Without all that support, you and me could have easily turned that pain into more pain. Just more pain, and continue with that all through our adult lives. So no, let's move on then, shall we, to the 5? Because first of all, I love to ask everybody, how did you find choosing? Because I imagine making a shortlist for you was absolutely horrific.
Yes, I find it very difficult. Because first you have to choose first you lean into the moments of challenge in your life.
Hmm.
And I've had severe challenges when I was about 11, when I was about 16, and then I had burnout when I was about 7 years ago.
Hmm.
And I've recovered from that. But that recovery journey has meant there's quite a few people in that recovery journey that I'd love to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you also think about the moments of, like success as defined by society.
Yeah.
And as you know, we're not going to have on our gravestones, I was the founder of an amazing business. I'm going to have on my gravestone, I was loved.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yeah.
probably have something like, I learned how to love myself as well.
Mm.
Something like that. So,
Yeah.
so those people that loved me and helped me love myself are also really important, as much as the ones that helped me start Savita or help me,
Mm.
help me be successful at the Institute of Imagination or at Apple or Disney or whatever.
Well, I'm intrigued now. I think we should just get started, Martin. Go on then. Let's do number one. Is it in any particular order? Have we got a ranking? Is it top to bottom or is it just random?
Well, I just start with my
Let's
dad.
just start. Oh, Dad. Good. Tell me about him.
Um, well, he himself, and I remember, so he passed away in 2012, um, the same month that we opened our first restaurant. And I'd been working on that opening for a year and a half, and he was a finance director. He was an accountant. So numbers were really important. Business plan was really important. So he was up to date with everything. But I watched his last breath after
Mm.
him getting cancer 6 months, him getting a cancer diagnosis 6 months before. So that broke my heart. So that month, March 2012, was the happiest and the saddest of my life
Mm.
to lose him. We were very close, and it was only about 5 years ago that I was able to sit down in a quiet place and on his birth and really remember him. And I went through the whole of his life, imagining it, and from his birth, from what I knew, and the rest of it imaginative, but really embodying him to really feel what he was going through. And I just think he's an extraordinary man. Um, born post-war in Leicester. He was a British man, working class, son of my grandfather used to manufacture, help make the bombs during the war. He was an engineer, low-paid engineer, low-level engineer. Um, in a way, you could say they were working class, and he himself got his accountancy degree by correspondence course. And he himself, for some strange reason, like me, loved adventure. And so he said, look, I live in Leicester, but there's this wider world. I'd like to work internationally or somewhere else. And the night that he was supposed to choose where to work, whether it's Australia or Peru, the Miss World contest was on, and Peru won the Miss World contest. So he said, that's
I'm
where I'm
going
going.
there.
Go there. So, and he landed in Peru. He didn't know the language, didn't know the people, didn't know that Peru was about to, or had just started being in a communist sort of regime where a dictator had taken over. And then he navigated through terrorism. And ultimately in Peru, he was threatened by the Shining Path guerrillas, and we lived under armed guard for a year before we left to come here. So, he went through all of that, and my mother leaving us, uh, and he brought my sister and I to this country, and with not much money in his pocket, and tried to rebuild our lives as well as his. So that is a lot of bravery, and that's a lot of steadiness.
Mm.
And so he taught me how to stand steady when life becomes unstable. That's what he taught me. How to stay calm in a crisis, how to keep moving forward when you're afraid, how to have dignity under pressure, how to embody your responsibilities before having comfort. That sounds a bit sort of hero complex, but when you've got kids, that's what you do. You
Yeah,
put your
every day. Yeah,
you put them exactly. You put them
yeah.
first.
Mm.
So I'm so blessed to have been his son. Um, I always when we were in the car in as a child growing up in Peru, you know, people that Peruvians that met me, they used to say, "Oh yeah, the English people they're really cold," and all of that kind of stuff. But my dad, when he was driving, he would put his hand, he'd put his hand back, between the seats, and reach out and just look for my hand and just say,
Mm.
"I love you, son."
Oh.
And so that man was full of warmth, love, and affection as well. So yeah, lots of admiration and lots of respect for my late father, Roger.
Oh gosh, it comes over in spades, Martin. Honestly, that's really touching. I just like I love how you kind of um I love that first bit you talked about where it was his birthday and you decided to imagine and embody his life. I think I've never heard anybody say that before. We can all sit and remember people and go, oh yeah, do you remember that? But to actually sit and immerse yourself and try and be him and picture those stages of life. Because we tend to remember our parents at the end, typically. You know what I mean? Most people don't go back to the beginning. And typically when we meet older people, we just take them as they are. You forget that 80-something used to be an engineer and, then went to Peru because he saw he probably just thought, God, they're beautiful, aren't they, those Peruvian women? That's mostly why he went. I'm sorry, you didn't say it, but I will. Um, he had that spirit of adventure, all the things you've talked about. But I just love what you said at the beginning, which is to remember him, you just immerse yourself into exploring his life as he would have, as the best you can imagine how it would have been for him. And I think that's a
Yeah.
massive honor that you can. It's a huge honoring of him, is what I wanted
Yeah,
to say.
thank you. And but you know where that comes from?
No.
That comes from deep empathy. And
Yeah.
I have deep empathy. And you know where that comes from? That comes from being something I've learnt a name for recently, a third culture kid.
Third.
When when you're a third culture kid, means you've lived in different places and you've maybe come from parents with different from different countries. But that brings a whole load of challenges in terms of identity and all kinds of stuff, of course, and displacement and not knowing where your roots are and all of that. So I've worked through all of that. I'm in a great place for all of that. So that can bring a negative, but the third culture kids have superpowers as well.
Mm.
And one of the superpowers is empathy. We know how to really put ourselves in the shoes of others and others that could be from very different places than us. That's
Yeah.
really that's really powerful. So that's why I'm excited to talk to all kinds of people, and I can relate to many types of people.
I think it's an undervalued and under developed skill. I remember speaking to someone once who said you can't teach empathy. And I said, yes, but you can teach inquiry, you can teach questioning, you can teach interest, curiosity. You
Yeah.
can teach people to stop and ask a question or two about the person in front of them, and maybe natural empathy will come. But I do
Mm.
agree. I think true empathy, like that, where you are feeling things before someone speaks, or they only have to share a little bit, and you're right there with them. That comes from a certain lived experience. Um, but I love what you said. Well, I'm going to. I'll loop back here. You get used to me, Martin. I go back and forth. Um, Something you said earlier about lived experience and just kind of having that awareness and superpower thing. You know, it is a gift. It is a gifted thing. You mentioned about the children that some people go, well, it's their own fault. They did this, they brought that on themselves. Everything we get, I believe, we have to give gratitude for. We have to give gratitude for our work ethic. We have to give gratitude for our ability to overcome things. You know, just because a child didn't thrive the way you did doesn't make them a bad person or a poor poorer human. It means they just weren't gifted the people and the opportunity and the genetics and and all kinds of things that no one can control. Which then, if you start to believe that to your core, it really does remove an awful lot of judgment and then obviously empathy comes in, because then you're taking the time to learn that some people just are less fortunate than you.
Yeah.
And it's okay. They're doing the best they can with what they got gifted. And it removes the third thing, which I love talking about. It removes arrogance. I can't claim, like, oh, somebody once said to me, "I've got a very pretty nose. You've got a very pretty nose." I'm going, so what? It has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything. No, here it is. Is it? I don't know. It's quite nice. But it's nothing to do with me. So don't compliment me on my nose. Compliment me on how I made you feel that day, or what I achieved that day, or whatever, something else that... Oh, don't get me started though, Martin, because even that's probably gifted genetically. Do you know what I mean? It just, this empathy and non-judgment, and generally accepting that we're all here by the grace of whatever you want to believe in. So just wanted to make that point. And it sounds like your dad taught you that through action, deeds, and words. And I love the idea of him reaching back and touching. I love that. I think that's absolutely so
An, Eng-
special.
an Englishman that is really warm, and
Oh,
there
yeah.
are many English people that are very warm and loving and caring.
I'm a big fan of people, Martin. Can you tell?
Mm.
Um, well, listen, I'm glad he made the number one spot. I think we could talk all day about him, to be honest with you, but I think the podcast would be too long. So do you mind if we move on to number two? Would that be all right?
Yeah,
Unless there's anything else you wanted to say about him.
that's great.
Oh,
He
super.
rest in peace.
Absolutely. Okay, number two then, please.
It sounds boring, but it's my mum.
Okay, not boring at all. She's from Peru, firstly, I guess.
Yeah, she is, and she's in Trujillo, in a city of the north, in the north of Peru today. And her name is Elsa. And yeah, we keep in daily communication through WhatsApp.
Really? Every day?
Yeah,
Oh, you're the
yeah,
world's best
every day.
son.
No. Well, she hasn't got many people to talk to, so I guess that, yeah, every day, every couple of days, we're always sort of sending voice messages, or we'll call each other every few days, but voice messages mostly every day.
Hmm. Okay, my son's leaving home this weekend. I've mentioned it already. I don't think I'll hear from him from 1 month to the next. Oh, well. Anyway, I'm impressed by that. So, Elsa, tell me more about her.
Tell you more about my mum. Um, well, today she doesn't walk very well. She doesn't see very well. She's partially sighted, and she's awaiting a hip operation. She lives in a small room it's like a bed sit. And my brother, one of my two brothers, um, buys food for her on a Monday and delivers that. And sometimes, if she's lucky, she goes and has lunch with him and his partner, and my new little goddaughter. And she's a so that she is in the last 15 years, 20 years, she's been a fairly acclaimed yoga teacher.
Okay.
And previous to that, she did a lot of different types of work, from being an air hostess to running a hairdresser. And she taught me how to breathe. Firstly, obviously, by giving me birth, but then when I was suffering anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and I had a burnout 7 years ago, I called her and I said, "Teach me how to breathe, Mum." And
Mm.
she saved my life.
Wow.
And so that came after more than 20 or 25 years of not having a great relationship with her, of being, in a way, abandoned by her because she went off with another man and started a new family, which I reconnected with after leaving Peru at age 14, and which we tried to have a relationship, but which was very fractious for many years, for a variety of reasons. But I've learned how to forgive her, how to love her, and she's given me a phenomenal variety of gifts, as I said, like breathing, like her knowledge of nutrition is incredible, um, and her knowledge of of mindfulness, and um, and thoughtfulness and self-love. She's taught me a lot of that in the last few years. So in a way, her absence forced my own early independence, and I think
Mm.
that's a gift in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though it's not a positive beginning, but it made me the person that I am today as well.
Mm.
And that, as I've sort of mentioned before, it has shaped my emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
and that's a really powerful gift to have, thanks to her and her actions, but then also her communications, her actions, and um, her unconditional love, which has really shone through in these last 10 years. So I'm really blessed to um, have her as my mum.
I just love the idea of, isn't it interesting that at your moment of need, deep need, I mean, when you say saved my life and I couldn't breathe, I mean, I am taking you literally on that because I think panic attacks I've experienced once in my life, and they're not small things. And if you really are experiencing burnout, I've not experienced that myself, but I've seen it close hand. The fact that even though there's all that history, all that potential for you to ring someone else, it was she that you wanted. It was your mum that you wanted. And for her to have the presence of mind to say, I know what he needs right now. He needs me to steady him, teach him how to breathe. Come on, Martin, in, out, or whatever. She would have done something much cleverer. But, the fact that she is who you reached out to, even though she's in a different country, and with all that shared history. And I do think, and I love what you said about forgiveness. I think there's there's a whole life story arc in that, probably, that if you and I were having a beer together, I'd love to know more about, because I think the journey from abandonment at 11, knowing that she's with somebody else building a new life, but somehow you found yourself back to each other and actually can experience unconditional love, and to have that daily communication, that journey of forgiveness wouldn't have been a small thing, is my guess.
No, no, but it's been one of the greatest achievements
Mm.
of hers and mine, and one of the greatest openings for me to live the the better life that I live today. I was going to say the life of freedom, but I think there are different challenges that one, there are different things that wants to improve on, but that was certainly a big challenge for many years.
Yeah.
And yes, I was really blessed to find the way and find the support and find the connection to be able to find that forgiveness.
Oh, it's no surprise. I mean, now I've met your parents. I mean, you are no surprise. All your achievements are no surprise. I mean, I'll summarize later, but already I'm building a picture here. I mean, you've got, even though you led separate lives, you weren't in the same house. When you have a connection with someone, I don't believe you have to be in the same country. I think, I moved I had to work in India for a long time, and I was as connected with my kids when I was away as if I was in the next room. But the fact you had such powerful influences, is it Roger you said your dad was?
Yes.
You got Roger and Elsa here. That blend of his bravery, steadiness, his spirit of adventure, his detailed nature, wrote due diligence underlined. And then you've got this more, I suppose, creative side in your mum,
Completely.
yoga, and people based. You notice air hostess, hairdressers, yoga teacher, these are very people of things, they're very invested things.
Mm.
You know, when you're a hairdresser, you're not just cutting hair, right? You are talking, you're investing. The people are looking forward to that experience with you. They share their stuff with you. We look up, we look to our air hostesses, not just to bring us drinks, it's to make us feel safe. No, I don't know about you, but I'm always looking at them. They look relaxed. If they're relaxed, I'm relaxed.
Yeah.
And, yoga teachers can be transformative. It's an absolutely spiritual and physical. It's not like going to the gym and having a
Yeah.
PT. It's a very deeply spiritual relationship. So it's no surprise already that become the person you have.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, and yeah, I get my creativity from her.
Yeah.
She has a love for the arts, a love for music, love for poetry. We come from a family of well, we're descendants of Cesar Vallejo, one of Peru's greatest poets.
Okay.
He comes from the village that my family come from, and where he's a great, great, great uncle. And she has done work that has been in the arts all her life as well. So yeah, that creative streak can sometimes bring that adventure, that color, that those senses into play. It can veer off.
Hmm.
Creative people are not, are not rigid. We have zigzag careers, we have zigzag thinking, we have zigzag
Yeah.
everything. Um, but we can find stability, and I think, and the other piece to think of is I guess my dad is more intellectual, more head based, but my mum has really taught me how to be body based, and
Yeah.
the body is so important, and
Mm.
for healing and for self, knowing yourself, to have the resource of knowing your body, to making sure your body's fit and well nourished, to making sure your body can have movement, and you can bring dance, and you can bring activities that are physical, and get away from the mind, has been so important to me. And that's something that my mother has taught me, not just through breathing and yoga, but it's through, as I said, nutrition, and through a thinking that the body is actually stores a lot of our knowledge and our wisdom.
I love that you said that. I think, I think for many years I thought my body was just to carry my head around. You know what I mean? It's just that total disconnect between what was going on in my brain versus my nervous system and my gut and all the stuff that we're supposed to pay attention. And if you do get embodied, then it is it's something I'm not going to say like I even know what that means yet, Martin, because I'm actually going through this a bit myself right now. Have you ever experienced EMDR? Do you know what EMDR is? Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just starting on that particular pathway, and it's blowing my mind, Martin. Honestly, I cannot believe the power of paying attention to your body response to trauma, to memory, to experiences, to everything. I mean, uh, I say I've only had a handful of sessions, and it's had a huge impact on me. And I think it is, for me personally, the blockage was always here. From here to here
Mhm.
was the blockage, and I'm working on that, and I can already feel myself, I don't know, filling up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, we store trauma in different parts of our body.
Yeah.
That's what we do, and you have to work on that. Um, and that's, again, my mum has been a support and a resource, as have many other people, and different practices.
Mm.
And luckily, that creativity of mine, and what was given to me by my mum, gave me that greatest gift of curiosity,
Yeah.
and that curiosity has led me to, as I said before, sort of dance, music, has led me to clowning, has led me to different activities and different types of movement practices, that have been so vital for my well-being.
But curiosity with yourself, that's what I guess that's what I took from it as well. When you said about being her teaching you how to be more embodied, I took that as, like you said way back about self-love and finding that. It's like paying attention and being curious about how our bodies work and how our mind and our bodies are connected. And I'm sure I'm doing EMDR because I just wanted to know more about it. And then when I started doing it, I was like, wow, this is really powerful. But I have a natural curiosity for how the mind and body works. And again, that's a gift. If your mum's given you that too, that's what leads to action of taking care of yourself. Back to the
Yeah.
self-love thing. If you don't take care of yourself, you're no good to anybody. And that
That's right.
gravestone's going to come back with, well, he had so much potential, but he didn't look after himself.
Yeah.
So,
No.
no, I think, that's priceless. And I'm sorry that she's having these health issues. And I feel, I don't know, when you were describing the small room and her eyesight, and it felt small, her world has obviously come to a much smaller place. But the fact that you can talk to her every day on WhatsApp and bring bring world to her, I think that she's really, really wonderful.
I want to correct a little bit of that. She is in a very happy place. She, because of her belief system and because of her practice,
Hmm.
and yoga being central, she says to me that she never has any pain,
Oh, okay.
which is quite incredible. Um, there's a lot of sunshine where she lives in Trujillo. It's a city of eternal sunshine. She has plants around her that she cares for, and she lives in a sort of courtyard where there's neighbors that always pop in to see her.
Okay.
So she has people around her, and I stayed with her in January, and I know that she's well. And she's only got me at the end of the call. And between me and my two brothers, we take care of her, as well as several friends that she has. So yeah, she's not thriving, but she's taking growing older, and you know, and in her last few years, her last decade or so, she's taken that very gracefully, and that's something else I admire in her.
Uh,
That resilience. Um, yeah. And
Well,
and by the way, she has her own story. She
I
came through
bet.
hardship,
I bet
three
there always
finishes of
is.
hardship. She
Mm.
had like I have. She's had many losses in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you put that into context, when you learn about that, and one of those I learnt through another practice called family constellations that I thought was incredible. But when you learn about that, then you go, okay,
Yeah.
there's room for forgiveness here.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that get back to your empathy point. And everyone, you never know. And I think everyone. I mean, maybe I'm being a bit idealistic here, but I think everyone should stop. Every dinner conversation you have should start with, "Tell me more about the people that influenced you, and tell me more about them and who influenced them." And so it goes. So much more interesting than doom scrolling on social media, isn't it? Really, there's always a story. There's always something behind the human being in front of you. And it's just people don't normally take the time to ask. So I'm on a bit of a mission to make that a bit more a normal practice. Um, okay, so we do need to move on, but I do love the sound of Elsa very much. And I'm smiling to myself because I'm glad we had spent that extra few minutes talking and correcting the visual image I had. And the other reason I'm smiling is my dear friend Brian. He won't be listening because he just can't be bothered. My dear friend Brian is now 94. He was in my first season. Brian, if you are listening, listen to what Elsa's doing, right? You just stop being so grumpy. He's very grumpy. I love him. I love him so much with all my heart. Oh, he's grumpy. Like you, and you think he has been ill recently. First time, 94, first time he's ill. Oh, he's so grumpy. He's fine. He's absolutely fine. He's got through it all beautifully. He's as fit as a fiddle, but he does moan. Anyway, Brian, love you. Right. So let's move on to number 3.
So number 3 is Lucy, my wife. And I've chosen her because she gives me unconditional love.
Hmm.
Um, and that is really important for me. She has taught me how to feel safe. When you come from, that challenging environment where, you think you live in vigilance and you think you're looking out for things, she has taught me how to trust and how to feel safe. And those are some of the 2 of the greatest gifts that I could ever have. We've been blessed with having 2 incredible children, and she's the loving mother I could have, the most loving mother I could have wished for to have as a partner for our children. So yeah, and we make an awesome team. And I'm, very attracted to her, and very attracted to her mind and her heart. And yeah, we complement each other. We're a proper yin yang.
Oh, I
We're
love
very
it.
different, but we support each other.
And how did you meet? Let's do the backstory first before we get into her as a person.
We met through mutual friends who were twins in 1996, I think it was. First in a nightclub called the Hanover Grand in just off Oxford Street and Hanover Street, and it was yeah, we met through mutual friends there in this club. We talked to each other, and I just thought, she's amazing. She's beautiful. My heart felt for her before anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
And cheesily, I got a serviette from the bar. I wrote my number, and I said to her, and she didn't see that, but I said to her, "Yeah, I'd really like to give you my number and my name and my number, and please call me." And weeks went by, and she never called me.
Oh,
But then those mutual friends, because they were twins, these two girls, um, they were twins. They invited us to their birthday, and I said, "Is Lucy going to be there?" And my twin, the twin that I knew, said, "Yes, she is." One twin's called Kate, one twin's called Lucy, so that's why I'm
oh, yeah,
talking
yeah.
about them much. But they said, "Yeah, you're Lucy. Yeah, this girl that you like is going to be there."
Lucy
So
to
I was
be.
Lucy to be. So I was really excited. So I went to that party, and I was invited to DJ.
Mhm.
So I DJed at that party. There's a little bar just off Old Street in London, in East London, and I DJed, and at the end of the set, and I was looking for her all through the night, and I couldn't see her. I think I almost chased her into a toilet, but she didn't. But at the end of the night, she came up to me and she said, "Can I carry your record boxes?"
Oh, really? Oh, that is
Or,
so cute.
or can I help you with that? And so we went home, and we spent that evening together until 6 in the morning in a Turkish takeaway downstairs in one of those Turkish takeaway rooms that they have events, and it's open to the public until late in the morning in Dalston. And yeah, it was lovely. It was really lovely, and we've become inseparable since.
And how do you remember how old you were when you met? Is it, was
Yeah,
it
about 25, 26.
lovely?
Yeah.
Perfect
So
age to meet the love of your life, I think.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's marvelous. I mean, uh, I'm going to pick on the safe bit first before we get into her as a person, because I just think, again, I think that's such an important. I don't know if it's specifically for people who are hypervigilant through trauma. I think all of us like to feel safe in the people that are closest to us. I think that's a I suppose a requirement. Not requirement, but it's an aspiration, isn't it? It's like to be able to come home and feel safe in your own inside a relationship and just be yourself and relax and kind of, like you say, trust and just have that sense of belonging. But I think it's particularly important when you are from a traumatic start in life or have experienced trauma at any point in your life. I think it's extremely important that you feel safe with your beloveds. So, and the fact that you went on to build your own little family, um, I like that. Really warms my heart too. So tell me more about. So you met at 25, 26, and love at first sight for you. It blossomed into something pretty quick, immediately by the sounds of things. You stayed up till 6. What did she go on to forge while you were building all this other stuff in your life? Did she build a career of her own, or was she very much there to support you in yours?
No, of course not. She's there always to support me, and I'm always there to
Mm.
support her. But she's studying to be a
Okay.
physiotherapist, and in the last sort of 15 years, she has become a senior manager in the NHS, and
Oh wow.
she's tri-borough lead of community independent service. So she, right through the pandemic, before and to today, she leads a group of 150 people in 3 boroughs, supporting people coming out of hospital. So, and she is incredibly loyal to the NHS. She truly believes in that as an institution to support us all. And so we share a lot of values of
Hmm.
caring for others, understanding this country and its institutions and respecting that. And yeah, and so she is from the caring profession, and she's tough in that way. She but she had really strong family foundation as well, which also her mum was a nurse. So
Hmm.
So she comes from that pedigree, and from that background.
Well, when you said caring, I was also heard the word leading in my head. Like when you are, when you're in that much responsibility, and the caring industry. And I don't mean to get into all kinds of conversations about patriarchy and whatever, but typically we as society don't celebrate it. This is a thing we all know. We all know that we celebrate, other things, other achievements, but caring industry tends to be a little bit taken for granted generally. But actually, when you get close to people who are actually in it, the level of expertise, bravery, capability, strength, leadership, just the resilience and the capacity of people who are in those businesses, in the care industries, is huge. Much more than, I mean, some people literally have life and death in their hands. Much more than
Yeah.
any business plan you and I have ever written, Martin. Anything we've ever done in our practical careers. So, I have a person close to me who works in the ICU for newborn babies. I'm in awe of her. I was like,
Yeah.
how do you do that every day and then go home to your own children and decompress somehow? I don't know how they do it. So I'm full of respect. And when I said earlier, was she supporting yours? I wasn't trying to be all sort of, you know, traditional. It's just that I keep coming back to this point about your career being so extensive and significant that I wondered if she was the I don't want to say the wind between your wings or whatever it is, but you know what I mean. Sometimes there is that partner that is the person that supports that person's achievement and willingly does so and raises the kids and all that, and there's no kind of
W- w-
issue
w-
around that.
sh- Well, she's done all of that.
Yeah.
She's done all of that. She was there when I lost my job at Disney,
Mm.
and I was trying to get another job and was missing by this much in some amazing places. And every time you get a rejection, it breaks your heart, particularly if you're looking for work and you need the money and you have to pay for that next step and that mortgage. And we were going bankrupt as a family when that happened because we'd taken out such a big mortgage,
Mm.
and we couldn't sell the house because the house market was depressed. So we were literally about to go bankrupt. But she said, "What do you feel at the bottom of your heart?" I said, "I want to start this new business, this new social enterprise, Peruvian food.
Mm.
This is what I'm passionate about, and I always have been." And one of my best friends, Devon Daly, said, laughed at me when I said to him, "That's what I'm going to do." He says, "I always knew you were going to do that because you're always talking about it." And so I was like, "Really?" So I always wanted to do that, and but there I was trying to fit in, trying to follow a career, trying to sort of follow this career that I had with small record companies and bigger ones and tech company. But it's like
In your
Lucy
heart.
was the one. Lucy one
Mm.
was the one that gave me the key to open the door to say, "Listen to your heart. What do you want to do? You want to do that? Go do it." Because I know that if you put your heart and soul, because of the way you are, you're committed, you're passionate, you're a driver, you're a leader, you're gonna find a way to make it succeed.
Mm.
And so, and then we sold the house because we had to at much less money, but we got that, and I was like, phew. But with the savings, she's like, "Okay, let's make this work." So the majority of that went into convincing other investors who had said no, because I'd pitched this idea to 100 people already, and they'd said no, to invest in the first restaurant, Ceviche, more than 100. And but when we put most of our life savings into that, they went, "Ah, okay,
Yeah. Well,
it, either
he's committed. Hmm.
this guy is crazy but really onto something, or he's really committed and he's going to make it work."
Yeah.
And it was both.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
And
amazing.
we did, and we did make it work. Yeah, I'm very blessed to have had Lucy on that journey with me.
Oh, she sounds remarkable. And I do absolutely love this idea of her just saying, just go with your heart and backing you. Because you hear it a lot, don't you? Oh, well, I really wanted to be this, but, I didn't really think I could. And gets nobody wants regret, do they? At the end of the day, no one gets to the end of life and go, "Oh, if only." Whereas with you, and I feel the same way. I tend to have a go at things. I do want to wring every little ounce out of this life of ours, don't you? And just
Yeah,
get to
exactly.
the end of it. I want to be exhausted at the end, in every sense of the word. And I want to be content and happy and go, well, there we go. That was fun. Um, s- anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No. I mean, you make me think of two things. A quote that I'm going to misquote by a fabulous poet called Mary Oliver that I love, 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 which I recommend you read Wild Geese and all kinds of other poems of hers. But she at the end of one of her poems, she says sort of, what are you going to do with this wild and crazy life or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you also make me think um, of another amazing lady called Martha Graham, who was a choreographer, a dance choreographer. Can't remember when, in the 30s. And I always have this quote near me, so I'm going to read this
All
out.
right.
But I just love this quote. Um, she says there is a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that's translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium and will be lost. The world will not have it. It's not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable it is, nor how it compares with other expressions. It's your business to keep it yours clearly and directly, to open, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep open and aware directly to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open.
Hmm.
So this is about what's inside you. How are you going to let that out into the world? And I had this passion for music, and I did something about it. I have this passion for nutrition and gastronomy and Peru, and wanting people in this country that say, no, don't look at the other side of the river. Just look at it. It's like, no,
No,
to
yeah.
get
What's
to know
across?
each other, what's across.
Mm.
And I just think, yeah, I love that quote because I really believe in it. The life force within us is something you've got to
Yeah.
listen to.
And uniquely us and uniquely ours. And get out of the
That's
way
right.
of yourself a little bit. I guess I was
Yeah.
hearing that too. Just get out of your own way. Oh, and thank you also for, I just wanted to say this. Thank you for giving credence to the idea of a zigzag career, because I've got a zigzag career, Martin, and I used to feel
Mm.
quite ashamed of it. I used to go, oh, I had no plan. There was never a plan here. I just went with what I wanted to do. But actually, the way you describe it, it feels like something that, I don't know, is driven by curiosity and creativity, as opposed to maybe when I was being negative towards myself as being, you know, not having a plan and being a little bit sort of drifty. But actually, when I look back, it wasn't drifty. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do that. And I have the similar kind of life experience where it's, it is music led. There's definitely a theme of education. There's a theme of doing good things for people. And
Yeah.
and I know my day job is a bit of a contradiction. People find my day job a bit difficult to cope with sometimes because they're like, how do you rationalize that? It doesn't quite fit. But actually it does, because I work with lots and lots of companies, and I'm looking to help them improve their I mean, it sounds dull, but it really isn't. It's like help them develop their businesses more. So
Yeah.
supporting CFOs into doing good things, right? And this is not a plug of my own company, I promise. But it's like it is on the surface level feels a contradiction to my everything else I've ever done. But it seems to be a good landing place for me to have quite a lot of impact on quite a lot of businesses, and certainly how I go about it has a big impact on the success outcomes. So I
Well,
cut.
if you're talking about CFOs, money is the air that an organization breathes. Without it, you can't pay your bills or you pay your employees, and you can't have people development. And if you have
Yeah,
that, and you have more reserve, greater reserves, then you can really develop people and help the organization be better, more sustainable, and better
exactly.
for society.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
good. I'm glad you get it. This is good news. I'm enjoying myself. Oh, wonderful. Listen, here's to Lucy and for all her greatness in her own development, but also in support of you and your family and vice versa. Sounds like a wonderful, wonderful marriage. Okay, so should we do number 4? I think we're on number 4 now, aren't we?
Yeah. Um, Gabrielle Roth, the
Okay.
founder of Five Rhythms. And this was really difficult because I just kept thinking of all the different practices that I've done, particularly in the last 15 years, to evolve, to grow, to mature, to become the person I am, to be prepared for middle age, to grow into what comes next as well. Um, and Gabrielle Roth, with her one practice, is a whole universe in itself. Five Rhythms. Five Rhythms is a dance practice,
Okay.
and it's one that is all about healing and finding your own freedom.
I've honestly, I've never heard of it. And that's not because it's not probably wildly impactful. It's probably because I would never even think to look at something like that. So tell me more about it.
Five Rhythm. Well, she was based in New York in the 1970s. She was a choreographer, and she just understood that, it's a lot of what I've been talking about before, that we keep so much in the body.
Hmm.
We're full of it in the head. The head, and when we have challenges or problems or traumas or whatever thing is hitting us on a particular day, it can be so complex that it can be overwhelming. And sometimes there is no right or wrong or a solution or a perfect solution or whatever. So where does that energy go? It goes into your body. In your case, you've said it. I'm sure there may be other places, but certainly your neck,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes into your
Yeah,
shoulders.
all of this area for sure.
Yeah. And so how do we work on that without, yes, of course, talking therapies
Mhm.
and talking practices are fabulous and essential. And there are many different types that I would prescribe to, but the body in itself is also part of the organism.
Mm.
Many people talk about the tummy and the stomach actually being a second brain,
Yep.
or is it the first brain? In some cultures, it is the first brain. But yeah, it's so she developed these five rhythms. The first one is called flow. The second one is called staccato. The third one is called chaos. The fourth one is called lyrical, and the fifth one is called stillness.
Hmm.
Some people call this practice, this thing that is called five rhythms, um, a medicine, a movement medicine. Some call it a meditative dance. Um, but there are pockets around the world of people that are practitioners. There's about 30 people that are practitioners in London, sorry, in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and in other countries there are those as well. And so what happens is you go to a session, and the session might be in a school gym, it might be in a school hall or a church, and someone has hired it out. And what they have are they have their laptop with music in it these days, not records, and they have speakers, and they have a floor that you can dance in or move in, and you can move in any way you want. There's no choreography. It's utter freedom of movement.
Hmm.
You can have two left feet. You can go against the beat. You can shake your head. You can scream. You can cry. You can laugh. You can do whatever you want. There's boundaries between the people that come, because usually there's between 5 and 50 people. So it's a group practice. And it's also a community building practice. You see different dancers or people every week or two. It's not a place to pick up a partner or or feel amorous with anyone, although I'm sure maybe that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that. And many people who are happy or who have deep trauma or are going through something challenging go there. And it's a safe space. and there's no physical contact. So sometimes there's tiny bits, but there's not. And sometimes you can dance on your own, or sometimes you're encouraged by the practitioner to sort of, you know, choose a partner for, 10 seconds and then choose another partner. So it's, for the most introverted people, it's
Mm.
it's it's a safe space. For the most outgoing people, it's also a safe space. For someone who's, as I said, living in a well balanced environment, they'll have a lot of fun and enjoy it and feel connection. For someone who's going through a bereavement, they'll find a safe space and a place of compassion and care with other people that will appreciate, respect them, but also with your own body that needs to flow and needs to move. We're oiling the joints. We're
Mhm.
sort of releasing and making sure circulation happens. And when circulation happens, uh, you know, we heal.
Mm.
So
All
so
right.
the first, I can take you through the different dances if
Well,
you want, but
I do want to do. Can you do that? But before you do, I had one quick question, which is, how did you come to find it? How were you introduced to it?
um, I was going through a really tough time, and it was a little bit pre the break, the burnout. Um, this was about 8 years ago, and um, I was in a summer fete, and there was a mine store, and in the mine store, I sort of said, "Look, yeah, I'm having some challenges here," and they said, "Well, have you tried meditation?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's really helping."
Mm.
Um, and they said, "But you should try this thing called Five Rhythms, and there's one just down the road in Kew, and that's southwest London." And I said, "Okay." So I popped down to the event. It's like an event, and it happens every week there in Kew, and and I loved it. And I spent 2 hours dancing and moving however I wanted, with no judgment by anyone,
Mm. No.
losing my self consciousness about it, which you have to do, and somehow, but it's a safe space. And at the end of the session, they said, "Oh, who are you?" "Oh, I'm Martin." People don't talk much there, but they connect
Mm.
so much more
Mm.
than, and we create beautiful friendships even by not knowing each other's names.
Yeah.
But they said, "Oh, by the way, we're having a camp, and it's our yearly camp next week. Do you want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Wonderful.
And I convinced Tilly, my daughter, who was, I don't know, 12 or something at the time, or 10, to come along. And so for 5 days, we camped in a field in Dorset, about 40 of us, many with kids, some with not, some without. And we just danced. And not all times of the day, but there were other activities. And we built fires together, and we made cooked food together, and the beautiful landscape. And I just loved it. And I used to hate camping, but that turned me into liking camping.
Oh, I love camping. That's another story. All right. Well, that's a sounds like a timely introduction at a time in your life where you really needed it. And so take me through it then. So flow staccato. I wrote flow staccato, chaos,
Chaos.
lyrical, and stillness.
Yeah, so flow is just the warm up. It's the real
Mhm.
connection with the feet and the floor. It's the real connection with the ground.
Mhm.
That's where you really connect with, that's the most stable part, right?
Yeah.
Mother Earth,
Mhm.
she's holding us there, and you start moving. It's a warm up, really, and but it's also a place to connect with your own presence, in the
Mm.
same way as people with yoga connect with the breath. So you're
Yeah.
connecting with breathing.
Like a
And
century type thing. Mm.
and yes, and that's right. And the practitioner will select songs, music. Now they might have a leaning towards electronic music. They might not. They might have a mixture.
Yeah.
So you might hear a chill out track from Morshiba, or you might hear, or something more obscure, and you might hear Leonard Cohen.
Mhm.
But again, they're trying to bring you in emotionally. So
Yeah.
so it's a warm up in that way. Staccato then is sort of trying to find more angles. It's more punctuated. It's a bit more beaty. The BPM is a little bit higher. Um, and what you're trying to do is to sort of, I guess it's the stretching one. You're sort
Mm.
of more jagged
More
edges.
challenging your body a bit and waking up a
Yes,
bit,
just
maybe.
just exactly. Just that little step further with kindness. the first the first sort of rhythm is probably 10, 15 minutes long. The second one's 10, 15 minutes long as well. So it might have 2 or 3 songs within each.
Mm.
So that's staccato. And you're starting to move your hips as well there. You're starting to move your hips, and you're again, you're loosening up different parts of your body. And then you're warmed up, quite warmed up, and that's when chaos comes in. And chaos is just what it says.
Do what you like.
That's when you can really
Mm.
shake or wobble or shout or scream, and that's when a lot of maybe the pent up anger or fury or
Mm.
rage can really sort of come out in a place that's safe. The music is loud, and again, that's when people play thrash metal or drum and bass or trance or techno or something like that, and or something tribal as well. Because a lot of our rituals from dancing
Mhm.
and rhythms come from tribal cultures. So that's really powerful. Um, I've been in those moments and cried many, many
Mm. I
times.
can imagine.
And then after that, you have lyrical. And lyrical, again, that's when you become the flamenco dancer or the Bollywood dancer. And that's when your creativity really comes out and your self-expression of creativity. That's why I love this dance, this practice, because it's an outlet for my own creativity, and it doesn't come out. And lyrical is the rhythm where it comes out the most. You can make shapes, or you can move around, or you can be goofy and cheeky and mischievous, and it's fun. It's
Yeah.
really fun.
But you're doing something at this stage. You're doing something with intent at this stage. You're through the chaos bit, and now you're actually saying, "How would I like to express myself? What would I like to present not to the room, but to how would I like to be in this moment?"
Yes. And by then you're really connected to your body. So you're in a
Yeah.
way you're giving thanks and gratitude to your body, and you're having that lovely relationship with your body
Mm.
with it by then.
Mm. Okay.
And the final rhythm is stillness. And yes, sometimes you can stop and lie down, and I've fallen asleep sometimes, or or sometimes you still wobbling or still moving a little bit, and just getting slower and slower, and you know being
Coming back to yourself a little bit, coming back to your
coming back
mind
to
a little bit.
yourself, coming back to the space where you're at, the
Mm.
awareness of those around you, and where you are, the physical space where you are. I've had moments of spirituality there. I've had
Yeah.
moments when I've been lying down after all that noise, all that sort of expression, all that sort of letting out, all that processing. That's when I've thought of the sister that I had that passed away age 34 about 8 years ago.
Okay.
That's when I think about her, or I think about people that have passed, or people I love and care for. That's when I think you know, um, about the sun, which as a descendant of the Incas we worship. That's when I think. That's when my
Mm.
spirituality, my
Mm.
spirituality really comes alive. So that's stillness, and that's a beautiful part of the dance. And all of that can take about an hour. You can do
Mm.
it in a half an hour. In fact, every morning, most mornings, I start daily my my daily routine with a five rhythms dance half an hour session, but usually they're an hour, and then there's two waves, because usually the whole session is 2 hours. So you do all that again, and then once, and then you do it again, and that's the whole session.
It sounds amazing. I mean, and so obvious as a practice that you can totally imagine being very, very powerful and impactful. And it's almost like, why have I not heard of this before? Why is this not everywhere? Why are there just 30 practitioners in the whole of the UK? This feels to me like quite a fundamental thing for us all to do, because most of us are walking around completely detached from our bodies. So I find it through sport, and a lot of people, I suppose, would find it in sport being quite a popular expression of your body, isn't it? But I find that a version of it through sport, and maybe through swimming and being in water and things like that, but nothing so intentional as this and so focused. And of course, it's back to music again for you, isn't it? It, of course, is going to be music. It's not going to be anything else. And, I love it. I'm going to look, genuinely, I'm going to look into that. I think that's something, especially I love the idea of letting go with no self-consciousness and safe space. Those things came through for me when you were speaking. I was like, I'm attracted to that. That seems it would be a good place for me to be. So thank you for taking me through that. I love it. Well,
You're welcome.
and all the good stuff come from the 70s. I was born in the 70s, just saying. So good old Gabrielle Roth. I like the sound of her very much. Is she passed away or is she still with us? Or did you say? I can't remember.
Yeah, no, she passed away. I can't remember when, 1996 or I can't remember,
Okay.
or much later than that. I don't know. So I never had the privilege of meeting her, but
No, but I'm in the habit of sending people things if they've been mentioned. Sorry, if she was still around, I would have gone, by the way, this is how you were spoken of. All right, lovely. Okay, well, listen, we're at the finale then, number 5.
I've sort of hinted at this as well, but an amazing Vietnamese monk called Thich Nhat Hanh,
Okay.
who is widely known as being a peace activist who campaigned for peace with Martin Luther King and who passed away just a few years ago. But some people say he's the one that taught them how to really meditate and or do mindfulness. But he really walked the talk, and he wrote various books on this. But finding meditation has given me again more safe space to process, more calmness, more another place, particularly in group meditation, a place to connect with people that are conscious about themselves, about those around them, and about our world, particularly our natural world. So, yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh is a real leader. And there's others like Eckhart Tolle, and who wrote The Power of Now, and Tara Brach, who I love. But it's about mindfulness and meditation practice that I think is so vital, particularly in this world with so much noise, visual and sensory noise. This connection that we have, this hyper connection with technology. So to take a time to really concentrate on your breath and on your breathing, which is the only thing we have control of in life, the only thing.
Yeah.
And it comes naturally to us. It's our greatest gift, and to be able to have that focus and to create, as a result of that, to create space again. You're looking at a burnout recoverer here. To create space again, it's one of the greatest gifts. And that's again one of the reasons why I work for the Institute of Imagination, is because we're passionate about creating those spaces where you can imagine, you can daydream, you can tinker, you can you can invent um, and experiment. But hopefully also you can be bored, because we've lost
Yeah, we lost
our
the art form, haven't we? Boredom.
Yeah, so mindfulness does give you that, and it just gives you rest.
Yeah. I'm just
And presence, to be present.
noticing that how good you are at finding the things that you need. It's just something that's just struck me. This like so a lot of people experience a lot of challenges and difficult things. I mean, that's unfortunately a common story. But I love the idea that you've attracted and reached out and found solutions or things that you could help you. And they're quite wholesome things. I mean, a lot of people self-medicate. A lot of people go in, obsessive compulsive behaviors, or they might overwork, or they might, they go to the gym too much. I don't know, all those kind of things. But I get a sense of, now you've brought in Thich Nhat Hanh, I think you said. It's like there's this deep spiritual layer about you that seems to be, it's a very impressive self-awareness of what you need. Do you know what I mean? To continue for you to be this optimal, to achieve the things that you want to achieve in terms of the impact with, the Institute of Imagination, for example, is just one example. You're on a mission to achieve something, but you know that you've got to look after yourself in the process. You know that. You came close to it, you're burnout, but now you're like, I know that I have to take care of me and I know how to find those resources.
Yeah, but one of the negatives, that drove me to this, which you mentioned, is I was a workaholic, and
Yeah.
I have a tendency to want to overperform and and please others too much and put myself behind at the back of the queue and all of that kind of stuff. But yes, self awareness is where it starts, and curiosity to look for solutions.
Hmm.
I'm a problem solver. That's why I'm a survivor. That's
Yeah.
why I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. Resilience.
Yeah.
And that's what I do for others, and that's what I do for companies and charities and others. So yeah, but I'm blessed to have had those foundations from my dad, from my mum,
Yeah.
from my great aunts, and others.
I mean, the great aunts didn't get much of a look in. They've been mentioned, but I know we're only allowed 5. But if we can use a little bit of the last bit of time to talk about them, unless you've got something else you want to say about Thich Nhat Hanh, but I think your
No.
point's mostly about meditation, isn't it? But it's like,
Yeah, look, my great aunts should have been on that list. Could have been on that list on any other day. My auntie Carmela, they're both in heaven, but my auntie Carmela, who was a feisty, creative leader of the family. She lived with my auntie Otilia, who's my other great aunt. Both were not married, but one of them did have children. The other lost children, but they nurtured and brought up all of my grandmother's children in Lima, because when my grandmother had children, she would send them to Lima to be educated. So, and when we were born as grandchildren, we were, just blessed to have their unconditional love. So they would definitely feature. But also people that have supported me these last few years. My great friend Vavi, my wonderful friend Devon, my my friend Josine, and many others who have supported me. Very nearly on this list, Nina Simone nearly made this list. Bob Marley.
yeah,
I mentioned Martha Graham, and I did mention Tara Brach and Eckhart Tolle, but so many people. Uh, someone who was very close to me and like a father was a gentleman called Nick Elwyn, who's just passed away about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And he was a mentor, and he was a business mentor, but it was much more than that. So he gave me the self belief to be an entrepreneur 15 years ago.
Well, I've decided actually today for sure, but recently I thought I'm going to introduce a new section called honorary mentions. So that's it. You've just done it. Honorary mentions. It's just not an easy word to say, is it? Honorary. But I will come up with something snappier. But this is going to be a new feature of the show. You heard it here first. But no, I know what you mean. There's so many people that are noteworthy and deserving of a mention. So I'm glad we made some space for that. Well, I think we've done the 5, haven't we, Martin? I think it's an incredible list, and it's just you are a very fortunate man. We had a bumpy old start there at the beginning, but what love and joy and creativity and impact and all the things that I personally really aspire to, that you've crammed into one life thus far. And I really do think you are an extraordinary example of what you said was taking pain and turning it into power. I love the zigzag career. I love the creativity. I love the curiosity. I love the bravery. And I suppose that wild and precious life thing you said from the poet is you are embodying that. You and it's very aspirational for me because it's how I feel. It's how I feel like I've got one go. And to me, there's never enough time. I always feel like I'm not going to have enough time to do everything that I want to achieve. But it drives me to want to do as many things as I can to express myself and make the impact I want to make on on the people around me. And it's just, you are just, I don't know, just very inspirational to me, Martin. I just wanted to say that, that's all. But
Thank you, Julian. I'd like to say that I know about some of your beginnings, and I know how challenging life was for you.
mm,
And the woman that I'm seeing today is a woman that is very powerful, very strong, and that is no small thing. You have also built this incredible life, and you're also giving so much. So I'm grateful to receive some of your kind words and these kinds of opportunities. So thank you.
gosh, oh, okay, thank you. I'm quite moved by that. And when you said you're meeting someone powerful also, I thought you meant later. I thought we had did. Maybe there's something in that. I was listening, waiting for you to say, and I'm going to introduce you to her. But it was me.
No, no,
Oh,
that's you.
gosh, I'm really touched by that, Marcian. Thank you. That's honestly, really am. Hmm. Okay. I'm going to
Take
move
some
on.
time. Take some time afterwards and just, you
Yeah.
know,
Think about that.
just think about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll pull myself together. Thank you. Listen, I've it's been an absolute joy talking to you today. I normally ask people what they're going to be doing next. I don't. You don't think you even know, do you? It's an institute for imagination for the moment, but this zigzags are going to carry on zigging and zagging. I think until you're in your dotage and finally going to have some rest. But unless you've got something you want to share that's on the horizon you haven't shared with the world.
No. There's a lot of work to do at the Institute of Imagination. I'm in a great place. It's just the beginning. I'm just scratching the surface of the potential of what we can do. So, and my dog's barking,
I
so
know.
he agrees
Yeah,
with me.
absolutely.
So,
That's what that was.
so I'm blessed to have a great team and a great board of trustees, and yeah, some really amazing new ideas and programs that we're about to scale nationally.
Oh, well, watch this space, everybody. And where should we point people to? Is it literally, is there a website or something they can go and check it all
Yeah,
out?
instituteofimagination.org. Please join us. Please donate. Please introduce us to other partners and donors or companies that want to work with us or trust or foundations. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Oh, well, I'm going to do my bit. I'm going to spread the word.
Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. And finally, then, before your dog really starts to kick off and say, come on, the sun's shining, let's go. I always like to ask my guests, who shall I speak to next and why?
Well, I know that's the format of your your podcast, so I've got a couple of people I wanted to mention. Um, well, if I had to mention one person, it would be Abdi Omar.
Okay.
I would also mention Bob Barrage from Foundation for Change and Rosa Vasquez Espinosa. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of Abdi Omar. Abdi is our ambassador at the IOI, at the Institute of Imagination. He has cerebral palsy, he moved to the UK from Somalia. He's an extraordinary man. Um, so he is an award-winning speaker, redefining in a way disability through augmentative and alternative communication. So he uses technology to speak and to communicate. And he's an entrepreneur, and he's a leader, and he's a communicator, and he's passionate about supporting others, and he's passionate about not letting anything get in his way.
Hmm.
And you know, in a world that makes so much judgment on the physical appearance and the abilities that we have or not, and tries to put us down or put us in a particular place or a particular box or limit us, um, that gentleman has got to overcome incredible things. So I'd love you
I love
to meet Abdi Omar.
it. Sounds incredible. Please, that would be my absolute honor.
He is a he's a just as he's a voice of inclusion. His organization is called Limitless Minds Group, and he advises schools, NHS, and other all kinds of companies. So he's an extraordinary figure. He's not on world domination, so he's not. It's not running a multinational company. It's him and a couple of people, but they're
Mm.
doing extraordinary work.
Okay. Please connect us somehow. That would be amazing.
Will do. Will do.
All right. And Bob and Rossa, I wrote down as far as I got because you said it so quick.
Yeah. So Bob runs Foundation for Change. So about 6 years ago, is it about that long? It's probably about 5 years ago. I love mentoring groups. I love co-mentoring groups, and so I created something with my friend Davey. We created something called OCAL, Openness, Kindness, Action, and Learning, and it's a peer-to-peer mentoring group for charity and social leaders, CEOs, and founders. And there's 6 of us, and Bob is one of them. I invited Bob to come into this, and Bob is an Ashoka Fellow. He runs the Foundation for Change, and he's really a pioneer of trauma, particularly trauma that's links sort of addiction and mental health and social injustice. And he brings a systemic lens to that approach that is not readily available. So Foundation for Change is an extraordinary company. He's got an incredible life story, having been almost a Buddhist monk in some of his life. And yeah, a really interesting man.
Gosh, you are great friends you've got. Okay. And I definitely want to meet Bob. Is it Bob? I wrote Bob. Is it Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did write that.
Bob
I've got Rob.
Barrage. Yeah. And Rosa Vasquez Espinosa. Now, I have a deep passion for the Amazon rainforest. I have a deep passion for nature, and I've worked in aspects of conservation and environmental justice. And Rosa's right up there. I've known about Rosa for many years. We've never actually met in person, but we've spoken. So this painting behind me is from the Amazon by an amazing painter called Darwin Rodriguez. But so it's from the area of where she originally comes from and she knows about. But she's a powerhouse. She's a pioneer in studying stingless bees and their medicinal honey. She brings all this indigenous wisdom, knowledge into the forefront. With cutting edge science, and she's a BBC 100 Women honoree, and she leads conversations on nature innovation. I think she's like a National Explorer ambassador. So her work is all about conservation. Her work is knowing about the science behind the medicine of what the rainforest can provide us. And in a world where all of that over-industrialization of pharmaceuticals, etc., and the exploitation of our rainforests is at a critical stage, this is a woman who is leading that front where there are very few women scientists in the world.
Wow. Do you know what? I'm so excited because one of the reasons I set this thing up was because I wanted to meet people I'd never normally meet. And in my day-to-day, I would never meet these people. I'd never meet Abde, Bob, Rossa, in any normal walk of life. So if you could connect me with those people and they were, do me the honor of coming onto my podcast, I'd be absolutely thrilled. So do what you can, Martin. Pull some strings, make some calls, send an email. I don't know, whatever you have to do. That'd be amazing. I'd love to meet her as well. That'd be fabulous. Martin, thank you so much. That's very generous, firstly, to even suggest those three. I think I'm going to reflect very much on the things you've said to me. That's, you did stop me in my tracks there. I think probably that was quite obvious. And I also want to thank you for taking the care that you've done today to prepare for this and the sincerity of which you've approached the subject, and how you've honored your people. There's nothing casual about it. I can tell you've put a lot of thought into it, and these people mean a huge amount to you. And I hope that you share it with them. I hope that when this is broadcast, you do send it to them and say, this is how I spoke about you on this podcast. Because that's also my intention, is to spread this kind of practice, if you like, of giving thanks and making people stop and pause and think about the impact they're having, that they are having, so you and me are having in the world, but also the people that have impacted us. I think it's hopefully a positive thing for all of us. So thank you so much for how you've approached this and the energy and depth to which you've shared today. I really, really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Well, that was Martin. Gosh, he's delightful, isn't he? I loved that conversation. I hope you did too. And if you did, please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and all the stuff you're supposed to do on this social media stuff that I don't really understand, to be honest. But hoping that you are just enjoying yourself, listening to my show, and you want to tell people about it. So on to next week. Next week we have Laurie Powell. I first met her at a networking event. I must have made a beeline for her because that's what she said on the podcast. She just remembers me walking over, and that's very much me. And I think probably I was struck by, firstly, she's just gorgeous. And secondly, she has this light about her. You'll see. She's just got, I don't know, a glow. And she's fascinating. You know, she will tell you all about how she travelled from the Midlands to Mayfair, as she puts it, which I love, and spent a career in luxury retail. So began in Harrods, went on to Tiffany's, and now has her own business. And she's absolutely remarkable, a remarkable young woman. And I really do hope you tune in next week to listen to her. So until then, have a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.